just gonna trust right what you're saying. You never play. Came through the valley, we walked through the fire. Your grace is amazing. I trust what you're saying. You never play. I know that you work every trial for good if I stay and be patient. I'm just gonna trust right what you're saying. You never play. Came through the valley, we walked through the fire. Your grace is amazing. I trust what you're saying. You never play. I know that you work every trial for good if I stay and be patient. Ooh, yeah, move up. Yeah, you kicked out my feet, perfect love. Yeah, darkness and shadows gon' fall in the battle. I think your kingdom is come. Yeah, I cannot run. Yeah, surrender, you fill up my cup. Yeah, reason to strive. Yeah, you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pardon the Intercession, episode number 7. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like we've been doing this for quite some time, and then also barely at all. It's that weird middle spot. I am, of course, Matt McClure at Bearded McMagic. I am here with John Bearded Blevins, CEO of Little Flower Media, and as well with our good buddy Joel Stepanek at Chasing Humility. Thank you for joining us again here for episode 7, gentlemen. How's your week going? You guys want to do a quick catch up? Because I spent 9 of the 10 minutes of the countdown just going to the bathroom, so I figured, I didn't get the chance to talk to you. Joel, how's your week been?
You were oddly quiet.
Yeah, I was laser beam focused and getting prepared for the show. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. But seriously, how has your week been going?
It's been pretty good. Had a great Easter. I had some peeps, which everybody knows. Love my peeps. Put them in the microwave.
Yep.
The kids loved it because there's nothing better than a pea that's been puffed up to 4 times its natural size. Just an abomination.
Did you actually put it in the microwave?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If I had a blowtorch, which I don't, I'd brulee them.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
They're horrifying. We went to the zoo. Check this out. Went to the zoo on Monday morning. Kids had off school. We had off work. Went to the Phoenix Zoo. Awesome zoo with some family friends. They've got kids similar in age and this one 3-year-old girl. And they've got California condors there. If you've ever seen a California condor, these are awesome. They have like giant wingspans.
They're enormous, right?
They're like the third biggest bird in the world. Not that I know.
They're huge, right? So they've got a couple of California condors there that have been injured. So, they can't fly. They wouldn't make it out in the wild. So they're there, but we got there at feeding time. And I don't know whose idea this was at the Phoenix Zoo, but they fed them white bunnies that had been cut in half. Good. Yeah, dude. So I'm like, it's feeding time. And that's what they chose the day after Easter's. Peter Cottontail is in there just toast. And one of the kids are like, what are they eating? And we're like, probably rats. And then my son is like, oh no, those are rabbits. Those are white bunnies. Yeah. They're eating white bunnies. And I'm like, yeah, let's move on. Meanwhile, the other kid's like, what? They're eating bunnies? I'm like, yeah, the day after Easter. Good one, Phoenix Zoo.
There will always be that discrepancy between a zoologist in their desire to teach children about, oh, look, animals are fun, but then also the realism of, and these giant birds eat things that you think are cute.
Cruel reality of nature, right? But I'm like, of all the things you could pick, and it made me wonder, did they use those bunnies for something the day before? Were they in some kind of Easter show on Saturday?
Oh my gosh.
And then the next day they're like, sorry guys, we got no more use for you.
Now
into the
now your
condors.
dinner. Yeah, it's possible. That's a good thought. Well, John,
and that's life. That's a metaphor for life.
Listen, I've been to Arizona lots of times. I've never seen a white bunny in Arizona. I've seen jackrabbits. I've seen some gray bunnies. I believe that the white bunnies just died to the heat and they just picked them up on the side of the road and threw them to the condors.
All animals fed to other animals at zoos died of natural causes, and there's no way for you to prove otherwise to PETA. All right,
I have a kid update. I have a kid update too.
Okay, cool. Go.
Yeah. So for those who follow on Twitter, my daughter made up a creature called Chicken Baby, who is terrifying to her. She woke up screaming one night and said the chicken baby is going to get daddy buck.
That sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah. I don't know none of us know what it is. We've showed her baby chicken. She's like, no, she does look at a grown rooster and point to it and say that's a chicken baby. But as she every night before bed, chicken baby, no get Kia, chicken baby, no get mama, no get daddy, buck. And it is ridiculous and adorable and super scary because I do think she sees something, whether it's a shadow or whatever. And Joel, you and I have had many conversations over how long we've been friends now, 10, 12 years, about maybe kids can see ghosts that we
No,
can't.
they can. She sees something. I don't know what that chicken baby looks like, but it's horrifying.
Probably like that Toy Story Sid like baby with like the little
yeah, probably. It's like Slender Man with chicken legs. Dude, get out of your house.
Yikes.
Leave.
Excellent. Well, now that we've all been pumped full of nightmare fuel in a variety of ways, why don't we start Pardon the Intercession episode 7? All right, so here we go. For our first one, we had a story that came out of Florida about a modern-day Good Samaritan who tragically lost their life while helping 12 other people who were involved in a capsized boat accident. And a whole bunch of other people went out to help. There was at least a couple of other boats there. They rescued all 12 people that were part of the initial capsizing accident, but a gentleman who went out to help ended up losing his life, and they were unable to find him. They still haven't identified him. They don't know who he is or was yet at this point, but this is a modern-day Good Samaritan story, and I think the toughest question to ask is this something you could see yourself doing, or would you be much more like me, like, no thank you, I don't get on boats, which would keep me from then helping people in that type of situation. But I don't know. What do you think, John?
The whole story is tragic and heroic and very sad. I would like to think that I would try to help. When I was a kid, like high school and college, when I had a crush on someone, I would envision some scenario happening where I would have to swoop in and save them. And are you laughing because you did that too?
I'm laughing because of how much of when you talk about your past experiences line up with like sort of romantic sitcom type tropes.
Yeah, John's life was an early 2000s teen movie, and the soundtrack was exclusively My Chemical Romance and Dashboard Confessional.
Yeah. Amen. And so I would like to think I would help. So a couple things. If I was with my kids at that same time and I saw that happening, there's no chance, because I would just look at my kids and be like, I can't leave you. It's very dangerous. But I was a lifeguard for many years. And if I wasn't with them at the time and I was alone, I don't think I could just sit there and watch people struggling, especially there were 3 kids on board struggling in the water. I don't think that I could not help. So I would like to think that I would. I think it's incredible. The dude's a hero, regardless. I'm excited to see like the rest of the story come out, because they haven't really interviewed a ton of people yet. But Jesus says that there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. And that guy might not have even known them and still was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to save them. A hero. I can only pray to have that kind of courage.
That's fair. Joel, what do you think?
When I read stories like that, McClure, I think about like virtue and like virtue. We talk about like, patience is a virtue, but like we throw the word around a lot. Virtue is a stable disposition towards things that are good. So it's like a way of saying, you form a habit, but always oriented and directed towards good things. And I think about like how much virtue that guy has, but all of the things that led up to that moment. I think like that's where I have like the gut check, because everybody wants to be like, I think to some degree, I would do something heroic, maybe not like run into a situation with a sunken boat, because you might be like, I can't swim. There's prudence, right? Like you can't just get involved in situations like that. You actually might make worse. But in situations like John was talking about, hey, I can swim, I was a lifeguard. I think everybody wants to think that we would run in and do something heroic, and like Foo Fighters, My Hero would play in the background, and it would be incredible. But I wonder, and this is the gut check for me, am I doing that in the little situations I'm presented with every day? Because I don't know anything about this guy. I'm sure we'll learn more, but I'm willing to bet he did a lot of virtuous, good things in his life, just in little ways. Like, the little moments where nobody sees and it's maybe not a big deal, but he chose like the best possible outcome, or to help people, or to be kind. And when you do that enough, when the big moment happens, you don't even think. It's just like instinctive, right? Like you just go towards the boat. And I wonder if culturally, if we're actually priming the pump the opposite way, to be selfish and to be self-centered, and all of those little things like take us the opposite way too. So I don't know. I read those stories and it's a gut check for me. Like, am I choosing the good things when I can, or am I choosing the opposite? Because either one orients me towards an action when I'm put in the moment, either to step back and be like, ooh, I don't want to help that person, or no, I have to. And I'm not even thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Both good thoughts. And also one of those elements where, like, I assume a guy who's willing to do that has, I mean, they were people on other boats that were helping in that situation. So it's probably a situation he feels comfortable with and trained for. And like, I mean, if he was already on a boat, one would assume that there was something, about that situation where he was okay with it. And just to, that recognition of everyday life being dangerous regardless of what the circumstance is, because you switch the situation to a car stalled out on the side of the highway, and bad things can happen either way. But I like your thoughts, both of you. All right, moving along to John's favorite topic, the lifting of masks and the mandate from Uber and most airlines. I think not all airlines, but most airlines in general. And this conversation can go a variety of ways, and I know John started the last one, but I'm going to let him start this one as well, just because I know it's one of his favorite things to talk about. Go for it, John.
Wow, I feel like if this were on the Halo, I'd be getting extra points, and I haven't even said anything yet.
I'm giving you extra points right now.
So there's a lot going on here. I thought it was very interesting to see a lot of the reactions that people filmed on planes of flight attendants and pilots celebrating. And you could tell by the way they were celebrating that it had nothing to do with, being anti-mask or something. Like they were like, I can finally see your faces. I haven't been able to serve you drinks in how long? Like I can see smiles. Like there were people kind of struggling with that stuff. And so they were excited about it. And it's funny how like a lot of the major airlines just immediately, they heard about it and they just dropped it. I thought that was very interesting. And then Uber too drops it today. And Uber was bold. They were like, if you want to cancel your ride, just cancel your ride. Like, it's interesting to me that they were kind of proving that they were doing it just because the government made them do it in the first place. And that might be a whole nother conversation. But here's my thing. I'm excited. Planes are safer than most enclosed places as it is. They recycle the air like crazy. We already have been living in this weird utopia where a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense, where we walk into restaurants, we have to have our mask on, but when the waitress is right next to us taking our order, we don't have to have it on at that point when it would be more dangerous. It's kind of just been this like facade this entire time anyway. And for me, like I've had the vaccine, I've done what they've told me to do. My family's had COVID, I believe, in antibodies. We're reaching a point of herd immunity. It's time for it to be a choice. And I don't like necessarily how it came about, had to be struck down by some federal judge. I don't think that needed to be necessary. I think we could have gotten there other ways. But I'm excited. It's about time. If you're sick, put one on. And that said, I'm not a psychopath. So if I'm sitting next to somebody who's immunocompromised on a plane on Monday on the way to Houston, and they kindly ask me to put a mask on, I will borrow a mask from the plane because I burned all mine, and I'll put it on and I'll wear it if it makes them feel comfortable, because I'm trying to be a nice person. Yeah,
that's fair. And I think that there probably is a factor, like you were talking about, John, to, people in situations that are constantly in charge and policing this are happy to have it be over. Like that has to be some of the cheering, right? Is that like a person whose job it is to be like, sir, put your mask on, sir, put your mask on, sir, put your mask on, is like, thank goodness I don't have to do this anymore. What do you think, Joel?
Well, I've got mixed feelings on this one because for a long time, I loved the Mortal Kombat games and I really wanted to be Sub-Zero. And when we had masks, I could feel like that for just a little bit. I could feel like I was Sub-Zero. Yeah. And now I just don't know how socially acceptable it's going to be for me to look like Sub-Zero anymore. And
you're going to have to stop running with around shouting fatality.
Yeah. I mean, like, probably actually not the best thing to shout on a plane is to just yell out fatality.
Yeah.
I guess I've never ceased to be impressed by how much of a flashpoint issue masks have become for us, and how like this issue rips people apart, like ends friendships, rends families, and things like that. I think that the only weird thing about this is I saw the videos of the flight attendants and the pilots, and I think airlines, and I say this as a person who wishes this just wasn't such a flashpoint issue, I wish they would have figured out a better way to roll that out than like mid-flight. So I will say I empathize to a degree to people who are upset mid-flight when a pilot's like, hey, everybody, the mask mandate's lifted. And then everybody's like, mask off. Because I think if you're a person who really struggles with that, I could see being upset, like, hey, I thought I was getting on this plane. That's something that's important to me, or maybe I'm immunocompromised or
That's
whatever.
how a panic attack starts, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and now I'm in a plane with people where I'm trapped and everybody. So I think there probably was a better way to roll this out. I understand why flight attendants were excited and pilots were excited, but mid-flight to be like, hey, guess what we just heard from air traffic control? Maybe not the best way to roll it out. A more uniform response could have been helpful, because now it's just a whole other flashpoint thing where people are upset, and now I just don't know that reason is making its way through. The foremost expert on masks could come forward and be like, they're really not necessary. And there would still be people like, they absolutely are. And I think it's because of all the hubbub around it.
I totally understand.
Turn into a 60-year-old man for a minute.
And as per usual, I'll bring it back full circle as just a reminder from the business side that masks are not helping any of the organizations that we talked about make money. Airlines and Uber have been taking hits because of mandates and masks and people feeling generally unease at travel. So as soon as they can get rid of it, they for sure are going to. Moving right along, young adults and the church. Surprisingly, this is one that we did not talk about in our pre-meeting. I'm going to let Joel go first on this one, but I think the general mentality here was, how can the church best serve up-and-coming young adult groups, right? And like from that perspective, what was your thought here? Oh, sorry, Joel.
Did I throw out this topic?
I don't remember.
Oh, no, I did. Yeah, just how can we best serve as the church young adults? I feel like a lot of churches do a horrible job. And yeah, Joel, I've heard you give great talks with us. I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I got some. Here's what makes young adult ministry so tough is when, one, we love to compartmentalize everybody in the church. And I think there's something to be said for differentiating services that match up with the life and developmental reality of a particular group, right? So we say, hey, we look at teenagers and how we serve them, because developmentally and as far as their life, they're in a different place. But this is where it gets tough for young adults. Hey, we've got a young adult group from age 18 to 39. Cool. In that group, I've got military veterans who have done tours of duty and served our country. I have people who are married. I have people who are unmarried. I have people who are divorced. I have people who have 5 kids, no kids, people who have miscarriages, people who, are having their first child, people who have, honestly, at age 39, you could have people in that age group that, I'm trying to do this math quick, that like have kids approaching that have teenagers. Like if you had kids at age 20, at age 23, you've got teenagers. And so the breadth of that group is so big. I think that where we fail in approaching young adult ministry is saying, oh, how can we compartmentalize this group? The key to young adult ministry in a parish is actually going out to encounter young people and proposing the gospel and building relationships with them. And that's not a cookie cutter packaged response that I can put on some videos in a church hall and invite people in and be like, but it's cool because we have beer, and isn't that awesome, everybody? I think it requires a much more intentional and difficult response. But if we don't do it, I mean, we're toast.
Are you suggesting that we shouldn't distill a message down into a soundbite and then just tweet it out? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, I think.
More complicated than that.
Actually, I'm not sure that we've ever tried that.
Okay, so maybe we should. All right.
I'll take a crack at it on Twitter.
Go for it, John. All right, what do you think about this topic? What can the church do to better serve young adults?
Well, I just thought about it because everywhere I go, it's all the same. Like, you've got churches that are trying. I like that they're trying. How do we reach young adults? And then you get like the young adult group that's already super Catholic that does adoration every single day. And they're like, I have an idea. Let's go to adoration and invite other Catholics. And the retired bishop who wants to hang out with us every week too can come hang out with us, and we can get Culver's ice cream after. That it's just like, no, I would never go to that ever. When I was 21 or now as a 34-year-old. And I agree with Joel. It's ridiculous that I'm considered a young adult that entire time, from the time I was 21 until still one at 34 years old. But it has to be relational. It needs to be a real community, good theology. I feel like that's a lot of times what's missing. You have like, oh, let's just have a hangout with young adults. We'll give away free beer and food and a bunch show up, but then they're just hanging out and there's no substance in the talk or something that they're going to learn. But really, I think it all comes down to joyful Catholics. Don't care what age they are, young adults or older, grandparents, joyful Catholics who can reach out and form communities of young adults the same way you do at a good, successful youth group, not recreating it. It's just what Jesus did, right? Meeting people where they are, proposing the gospel to them, loving them, and walking with them on their journey. And I think we're bad at meeting them where they are right now as a church. And I think that we're bad at then taking them farther and deeper, right? Like even good parishes that have lots of people showing up to the young adult stuff, there's the people stay in the same place for 5 years. They're not going deeper because they just want to be friends. I don't want to offend my friend instead of bringing them to the fullness of truth that is the church. But man, we got to do something. Director of evangelization. I was one for 5 or 6 years at 2 parishes. That's a good title instead of having a young adult minister. Papa Sharapa mentioned that. And then but I also had 2 focus missionaries who were focused on reaching out to them that I got to supervise, and a team of 5 other employees. So way too much to talk about in 90 seconds, but we got to do better than we're doing now. And beer helps. But so does cheese. But
So
so
don't
does cheese.
throw out the baby with the bathwater or the beer with the whatever. Is that what you're saying?
The other beer.
The other beer.
And cheese.
Beer and cheese. Yeah.
Cheese is good.
That's the way to go. I'll go ahead and say it. Perhaps like parishes should directly sponsor a new media company whose goal it is to create outreach and community for, young adults, so that there's a place where they're able to come together in a relaxed community with people just living out their faith in an authentic way, so that they know where to go when questions get asked.
That's
Just
a stupid
theory.
idea. That's a stupid idea.
Yeah, it's a dumb idea. All right. Resignation letter sent. Okay. Chosen series. Is it worth the watch? And perhaps I should have watched the entire Chosen series before. Well, I guess I'm just the moderator of this topic. So, John, you threw this one out there. Why don't you start? What do you think about the Chosen series?
I don't know where chat is with this. If they've heard of Chosen, if they've seen it, if they love it, hate it. We have people from all different walks of life and different faith traditions in the chat. I think it's unreal. I have probably watched, I just finished season 2. I don't know when season 3 comes out, but Jody and I watched the 2 seasons in like 2 weeks, and we've been having friends tell us to watch it since it came out 2-3 years ago, however long it was. And I was like, I don't need another Jesus show. I don't need that stuff. I don't normally like Christian TV or Christian movies, God's Not Dead, and all these movies that, just, they don't really go along with a lot of Catholic theology, right? Like, oh, the teacher saw a miracle happen, so now he believes and he doesn't believe in evolution anymore. It's like, dude, I'm Catholic. I too believe in evolution. So I just get annoyed with all these things. So finally, I broke down during Lent and watched The Chosen, or Chosen, whatever it's called. And it's remarkable. It has been refreshing to my soul. I find myself teary-eyed almost every episode. And there's something about the way that Jesus is portrayed. He's funny. He's normal. He is sarcastic and silly and like pulls little pranks on the apostles, and is patient and merciful with them. He like winks when he makes jokes. And I think I'm watching it and I'm able to turn off the theology part. I'm like, oh, this never happened. Like for some reason, 5-10 years ago, I would have just been like, oh, this isn't how it was written, or this isn't what our church teaches. And I'm just enjoying the portrayal of all the characters, and particularly Jesus, and then Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is an unbelievable character. And one thing happens in the show, not to, spoiler alert, she has her, Jesus heals her, and then she joins and she's following him along and all this stuff. And then she kind of relapses into some of her past behaviors and is like, feels this horrible shame. And eventually then goes back to Jesus because Peter and Matthew go find her. And then Jesus just looks at her and says, do you think I expected you to have it all together right now? All I want is your heart. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what he says to us. And so I am a huge fan of Chosen, and I encourage everyone to watch it.
Cool. What do
I
you
have
think,
not
Joe?
watched it. And I feel terrible saying that because I've heard it's beautiful. I've heard John, so much of what you said, I've heard echoed by people. And I think I'm still in I just don't know that I'm in a place for another Jesus show. And I feel like maybe that makes me terrible, but it's just one of those things with a time commitment to sit down and watch it. I guess if I made that kind of my prayer, it would be helpful. But I don't know what's going to get me over the hump. I think I've been burned by too much terrible Christian media, as you described, Fireproof, God's Not Dead. And maybe perhaps in my mind, the 1970s Jesus of Nazareth made for television series will just always be the quintessential portrayal of Jesus, even though it was nothing like Jesus for me. But maybe I need to watch it and then we can discuss it. But I think it's just hard. It's hard to lean into, all right, what's the next thing and the new thing, and dive into it.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
If you're not into the 1970s Jesus of Nazareth with endless shots of him walking with his followers over sand dune after sand dune, then I don't know what to tell you. You've just missed the boat on Christian media, I guess. All right. We are moving on to Father Stu and swearing. This was an interesting one. Was this prompted by the chat, John? Do you remember when we had this discussion briefly on stream?
Yeah. This is prompted by the chat and people on Facebook giving reviews and everything. And I have seen everything under the sun. It's the greatest thing ever. Best Catholic movie, but yada, yada. To never watch it. It's filled with curse words and vile stuff. And so I have not seen it yet. Joel, I don't think you've seen it.
I've not seen it. No, I've not seen Father Stu.
So I want to talk a little bit about the kind of movie, because we know what's in it a little bit, but then also, like, if you're trying to evangelize, is swearing okay? And so Joel,
I think authenticity is what trumps the day. And like, here's the thing. I swear sometimes. I do. I've been known to drop a curse word or 3 or 4. But like in a way that I feel like is often very authentic to just how I talk and who I am. And in fact, when I'm in environments where and I'm not like filthy, I'm not like crude, but there are times where there's just a way that I would authentically express myself that involves words that are PG-13, would be in a PG-13 movie. And I think that's what's tough is like sometimes when I'm supposed to throttle that in those moments, and again, not filthy mouthed, but like it feels inauthentic. And I think that's sort of what trumps what I'm getting at here is like, is it authentic to you? Or is it one of those things that like, oh, I'm going to seem edgy and cool by swearing in a sermon? Like, I know that there are pastors that have done that. I don't know of any priests that have ever done that, but like non-denominational pastors, like, yeah, I'm going to like swear and be edgy, but it's not authentic to who they are. And it's just meant for like to be provocative. Well, that's not good either. I think that's what I love about the Father Stu movie is there's an authenticity to it that I have heard from folks. And I think the other piece is this is where you've got The Chosen, which is very much like, hey, this is our media. This is something we're doing for the people inside the church. And then you've got Father Stu, which is a little bit more mainstream. Wahlberg, put up the money for this flick. He's said he wants to do more of this type of thing. But here's the playbook to getting faith back out in the world in a positive way. It's already been used. Representation. Just put characters that represent the faith in positive lights in movies. They don't have to be the main character. They don't have to be the center of attention. They can be, but make them real. And I think that's what I've heard about this movie, which is what is kind of exciting about it. But can you evangelize and swear if you're authentic and that's kind of authentic to your person? Yeah, I think so. But if you're forcing it, no.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought one thing that just has killed me lately on some of these reviews I'm reading from Catholics and other Christians of Father Stu is like, you could have made it without the swearing. And just so everyone knows, no kids, don't take your kids. Well, no crap. It's rated R. Like, I don't need
who was taking their kids to that movie? Like, who was like, oh, I didn't know. I thought since it was called Father Stu, it'd be fine. Like, what?
Mark Wahlberg grew up in Boston. I wouldn't take my kid if it was PG, well,
can we, and again, I've heard stories of like the real life Father Stu from a friend of mine. Like that's authentic to who he was. He was a guy that was rough around the edges. Why are we trying to sanitize this stuff? But like, who are we sanitizing it for? For us, because it makes us uncomfortable. Like that's pharisaical, right? Like, oh, that's not clean. That's unclean.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. And so as far as like, I can't wait to see it. I'm seeing it tomorrow so we can talk more in depth about it. Might write something about it, make a YouTube video review or something. But I'm excited to watch it. I'm going into it thinking I might not like the movie that much. I don't know. So Rotten Tomatoes doesn't like it. Maybe I won't. We'll see. But I will say this as far as swearing with evangelizing and things, we don't swear on our Twitch channel. But that's not because I think that swearing is this horrible thing. Like you said, Joel, if you're not being filthy, or wildly vile or anything like that. The reason that we don't swear on our channel and why we don't let people swear in our chat is because we're advertising saying that we're family friendly and that kids can watch, right? And so I don't want people to see that. Now, if you're doing if people are doing, like if we're doing an after dark stream and it says 18+, that's different. And so that's on the parent for what are their kids going to watch and things like that. But if there's a podcast out there where they're swearing, every once in a while to prove points or to be authentic to themselves, and it's not marketed towards kids, I have no problem with it. Like you're saying, be intentional, be authentic to who you are. I love those buzzwords, but it's true. And don't just swear to swear. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, excited to see the movie, and I'll report back later on if it's great or not.
Yeah. And once again, I will be concerned about the group of people that complain about it after having done no research at all. Ratings exist for a reason. It's the same thing as parents taking their kids to see, like Deadpool, and then being like, I thought it was a superhero movie. It is. It's rated R. It's for a reason. Like, it's not going to be a kid-appropriate Avengers flick. And look it up. Common Sense Media takes 5 seconds to put into your phone and get you can get the whole lay of the land in terms of what that stuff is. Moving on, Coachella. Joel, you seem like a guy that would go to Coachella and probably sell some of your homemade knickknacks that you've fashioned in your spare time, paperweights and the like, as an art festival and concert experience. Yes. Be honest. How do you feel about Coachella? Would you go?
I think the whole idea of Coachella is preposterous, which is why I would go, because I would love to. There are certain things that I want to do one time just to experience it and observe. Like, I want to work at a gas station, a 24-hour gas station on the third shift for 1 week. I just want to experience that. I want to be a trucker. I want to drive a truck for 1 week cross country. I just think these would be fascinating experiences. Coachella is one of those things to me. It's the gas station after dark, just the people, the environment, the situations. I think it would be fascinating. So yeah, I would go. I mean, it's music, it's art. I'm sure there's actually some cool stuff there. I think the clientele, the environment, the vibe around it is ridiculous. So would it be something I'd be like, yeah, I want to do that annually? No, but if you toss me tickets and we're like, hey, you want to go and just observe this mess of the human experience, 100%, I'm there.
The way you described that, and from what I know about Coachella, I didn't even know it was an option to not just go into the desert and trip for 3 straight days.
It's very much an option.
Yeah,
but
it turns out that
it's
you
one
don't
option
have
of many.
to do it that way. Yeah, it's true. It is many options. John, what about you?
So I'm split here. All right. I'm split here. And I don't often bring things like this up because I just don't like to. But if Tyler was going to fly me on his private jet to Coachella and then from the airport, take a chopper over to where our private suite was going to be, where we could listen to music and have whatever drinks we wanted to have and chill, I'm in. I would go check it out one time. But if I just had to go, I got tickets. Am I going to Coachella? No, I just saw an article the other day. Today, disappointing photos show what Coachella is like in real life. The first taste of the festival is not very picturesque. You have to walk miles in a dusty or muddy, thing. Festival workers are reducing the dust with water so that there's mud puddles. The walk back is horrible. People are walking barefoot because their shoes are getting ruined and they're not comfortable anymore. They get lost finding their cars. There's unmarked areas. The food is like $25 for like mac and cheese, $11 for pizza, onion rings for $26. No table, so people are eating on the desert floor. No shot, dude.
What if it's with me and we drive a rental car from Enterprise rather than a private jet, and we walk to an area of the desert where we eat $26, right?
I would do it with you, Joel, but I would be upset with you half the time.
I wasn't going to, but then you mentioned the $26 onion rings, and now I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, they must be like plated in gold.
They got to be the greatest onion rings you've ever had.
But you know what's crazy is the way celebrities just pretend like it's the best thing ever. That's what I hate. Is they're all like, look at my fit for Coachella today, and it's just a complete obvious this is for social media and for clout.
Wait, a celebrity posted something on social media for clout that was a lie?
See, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a lie
with this show.
It doesn't.
How
have to
dare
be a
you
lie.
destroy everything?
My universe is collapsing around me.
My brother's gonna
Everything's
be-
falling. I'm so sweaty. It's like I'm on a plane and they just told me the mask mandate was over.
My brother's gonna be on Jimmy Fallon tonight. Posting a selfie with Jimmy Fallon when you're about to be on the Jimmy Fallon show is not posting something. It's sure there's clout involved, but it's not something that's untrue, right? It's not like he had a huge fight with Jimmy Fallon backstage and he's just posting it because he has to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
but
there's something
I
dumb
think you
about
already-
like, look at me at Coachella, and then like 2 minutes later being like, oh, this sucks.
I think you already like called it, John. I think they're posting that because they're having the experience that you described. They're getting flown in by helicopter.
See,
They're
here's the thing.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing: there are mid-tier celebrities. Okay, I won't name names.
Name
but-
one name.
Courage, JD, who like is there and probably having fun, and he's doing well. I love Courage. But like, dude does not want to be at Coachella. Come on, no shot. He's losing weight walking from his car to wherever he has to go because it's super hot out and gross. But like, they have to post the picture. You know what I mean? It's just, it feels weird.
That's fair.
Out is the new American currency, John.
Interesting.
What are we doing with dollars? Just getting rid of them? If you're not using yours, I'll take them. Buy or sell. Worship on planes. So this went viral on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram and Reddit and 4chan. And there was something posted in which a large group of people started a worship service on a plane, or at least started singing Christian songs in a guy walking the aisles with guitars and people clapping all around them. What do you think? You buying this? You selling this? Appropriate? Not appropriate? Joel, you go first here.
I'm selling it. It's not appropriate and here's the thing. I understand that it was well intentioned. Like, oh, this is a great way to evangelize. But when the audience is literally captive at 35,000 feet in the air, you are not going to leave a great impression with a lot of people. And even if like 90% of the plane is like, yeah, like we're in prudence here. Prudence. It's like, what was the I don't know what the outcome was going to be, and I think this is like that insider baseball thing of like, yeah, like we're going to share about how bold we were, but was it really for the people on that plane, or was it for them? I think it's more for them, and that's why I'm selling it. Like, if it was a true evangelization, I think I respect people who are bold in sharing the faith and find a way to do it in that is prudent. But when you're sometimes it's just like, I did it to say I did it, like I was that guy, and then it's not about you. So to pull something from the Bible I came across today, St. Paul, in one of his letters to an early Christian community, was talking about how they need to be aware of the conscience of other people, which is really fascinating. And basically he's talking about how there's this behavior that early Christians are doing that's really snobbish and off-putting. And it's making other people upset. And he's like, look, I know that you can do this thing that you're doing, but maybe you shouldn't. Maybe before you do the thing, you should think about the people around you and ask, is this going to help them be better people and maybe know who Jesus is? Or is this actually going to make it worse? Because if it's going to make it worse, you shouldn't do the thing that you should do. And I think that's, I don't know, I feel like that's sagely advice from, one of the early Christian writers.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you think, John?
As a 21-year-old transitioning a little bit from emo music into praise and worship music and trying to better the things I was listening to. If I was on the back of that plane and it was a song I liked and they didn't sound horrible, I probably would have been like, this is really cool and a really bold way to share your faith when I was 21. As a 34-year-old jaded guy who doesn't really listen to praise and worship anymore, I agree with Joel 100%. Like there are just better ways of sharing your faith, and there are better ways of sharing your faith on a plane. Like all you have to do is carry your guitar. Like if you're going to sit next to someone and you want them to talk to you, carry your guitar on the plane, whoever sits next to you who saw you is going to be like, oh, you have a guitar? Yeah. What do you do? Oh, I play praise and worship music. Boom. Having a conversation. Wear a rosary around I wear long sleeve shirts when I fly, so I don't have to talk to people. But if you want to, you can just like wear rosary, pray your rosary out loud, read your Bible on the plane. You have a better chance of someone striking up a conversation with you, and you can better minister to that person. I have friends who've literally prayed for people to be healed after flights because they were in pain, and they said, "Hey, you're in pain," and it led to a conversation. So I just think there are way more fruitful ways to evangelize on a plane. And the fact that it looked so staged, where that guy gets the guitar and then like 7 people are planted around the plane standing up and singing, felt so awkward. And I mean, if I was next to one of those people, I probably would have just been like this. And like, little do they know that I love worship. I love praise and worship, just not there, not at that moment. And I was almost going to say, man, if the plane was going down, sure, but not even then. Like, even then, just close your eyes and pray. Ask if people want to pray with you. So I'm selling worshiping on planes publicly.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm just going to revert back to what my dad taught me about social situations like that. If you can't insert another activity with it, then you shouldn't be doing it. So if you replace praise and worship music with Insane Clown Posse, and it wouldn't be socially acceptable, then like probably not the way to go. All right.
I have not heard about ICP in forever.
We have a couple of guys in our chat that are big into it.
Joe, we have a former Juggalo in our channel.
We do. He's
and
awesome.
he's one of my favorite
awesome,
people.
dude.
I'm not
Really?
even kidding.
I
even be
actually
here
will go
tonight.
listen to some. I will listen to some Insane Clown Posse after this. No, it's time for
Yeah.
my kids to know. Speaking of inappropriate things to play for your children.
All right, buy or sell ice cream cones. John, this was your idea. I don't know anyone that doesn't want an ice cream cone when they hear about
Dude.
it, but go ahead.
Nope. I sell ice cream cones. I thought of this recently. I saw someone tweet something about it, and people were going crazy about ice cream cones. What's better, a sugar cone, a waffle cone, or a bowl? No, it's just the ice cream cone is just a vessel for the ice cream, and then the vessel gets soggy. And it's different than a bread bowl with soup, right? If you have broccoli cheese soup in a bread bowl, there's the soggy part at the bottom, but then there's the entire outside of the bread bowl that's still crispy and amazing. And you can get rid of the soggy part in a couple of seconds, but then eat the rest. The cone is just disgusting and soggy. So if you like cones so much, put it in a bowl, break the cone up into pieces, and put it on the top so it can stay crunchy. I'm selling ice cream cones. Nobody wants that soggy stuff.
What are you, a communist? Okay,
Yes.
Joel, go ahead.
John, first of all, you're wrong. Bye. Second of all, I'm concerned that you may be eating the cone wrong. Like, are you licking the cone before you start eating the ice cream? How is it getting soggy? Are you like, oh,
the
you
ice
have to
cream
lick
makes it
the
soggy.
sugar cone down? Like, no, it doesn't. It like, I'm worried. Are your hands just that sweaty? Like, you're so excited about the ice cream, you just got these sweaty palms, and these cones are disintegrating in your hands. Cones are beautiful because there's no garbage and they're delicious, especially a good waffle cone. And if they're made correctly, they shouldn't be disintegrating into your hands. But then what I love about a cone is you can eat it on the go. It actually takes me a little bit longer to eat a cone, so I enjoy it for a longer period of time. Because I'm not, shoveling into my face like a monster out of a dish. And then when I'm done, I'm done. I don't have to look for a garbage can to throw away a dish. Buy cones daily.
This is funny because somebody in chat just said, truth, bowl only unless you're a young child. And I would reverse it because as a parent,
because kids with a cone,
my kids with a cone are a nightmare scenario.
That's a disaster. They eat a cone like John Blevins eats a cone.
Right. And then,
but that's also why I don't like it. It gets in my beard on a cone.
Everything gets in our beard. That's just part of having a beard.
All right, Joel, buy or sell wearing latex gloves while eating wings.
Great choice. Great choice. That's a good idea.
You know what? Actually, I would. Yeah, I don't do it often, but on this extra bonus content, is this bonus content?
Bonus content.
Y'all should try this, John. Now, John got me hooked on this. I haven't done in a while, but wear latex gloves. Wear gloves when you eat your wings. They don't have to be latex gloves. They can be nitrile gloves.
Yeah.
When you eat hot wings, because there's no mess. Once you're done, just pull those gloves off. It's
done.
Beautiful. It's
The
beautiful.
surgical precision of Joel Stepanek putting on his gloves to get ready to eat some wings.
The most embarrassing part of any time we would go out to get wings together and be like, "Can we get some gloves?" And the wait staff was disgusted.
Yeah,
they were just disgusted with us. And I'm like, okay, well, then you can have like 80 napkins on your table. That's the alternative, waiter.
Yeah.
I can run through this whole thing of napkins and you can pick them all up, or I can have these gloves laid neatly into the tray.
And you can absolutely lick the gloves. You can absolutely lick the gloves.
That's your alternative, waiter.
100%.
Yeah. Your move.
Your move, Magic Man. All right. Firing players for dietary choices. I really loved this article today in which a player from what's the league that no one cares about?
USFL.
The USFL. This is the first time I've heard of it. A player apparently went against his coach's wishes and ordered a pizza instead of the chicken salad, which, by the way, good chicken salad has walnuts and possibly raisins in it. But I digress. Is this something that's okay for a coaching staff to remove this type of personal agency from a player? What do you think, John?
I'm pretty sure the player got fired.
That's what it sounds like.
For ordering pizza instead of having a chicken salad.
Pizza was not on the menu. Pizza was not on the menu. State
He's
the
a
facts.
grown man.
State the facts.
He's a grown man.
He's playing almost pro football.
I'm all for discipline, and I'm all for, like, I understand, like, some of that military mindset of, like, of just, becoming better and listening, and there's something to obedience for sure. And these guys are hopefully trying to make these players better men. I get that. I really do. But to fire a guy, I mean, is like over pizza, that seems ridiculous. I'm selling that. And this is why no one's going to care about the USFL forever.
That's fair. Joel, what do you think?
I'm going to buy it. I will buy it. I will buy it and I will upbid it. Reading the story, it sounds like the guy, at least from the coach's vantage point, was rude to the wait staff. That, like, he asked them if they had something else, which wasn't on the menu. They knew what the menu was, and that he was rude to them. Now, here's the thing. I have heard of stories of people who don't get jobs because of how they treated office employees. Like, you go in for a job interview and somebody's rude to the administrative assistant. I've heard of, like, qualified candidates not getting jobs because of how they treated other people. Mm-hmm. And, like, the justification was that's an indication of how you're going to treat your teammates or your coaches. Like, if you're treating somebody, on the wait staff poorly. And so if that's the case, and that's how the coach was reading it, then I'd buy it, because pizza was not on the menu. And I get it. Like, chicken salad, would it be what I would want to eat? No, probably not.
Joel, yes or no? Pizza's always on the menu.
No. No.
Dang it.
Nor should it be.
Lord Goofa, he would get
fired. Say that you ordered an ice cream cone.
Lord Goose, our former juggalo, says, if I got fired anytime I had pizza, I would have been fired 3 times this week.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those circumstances in which the headline is so far removed from the reality that it's almost clickbait, right? Where they act like, oh, he ordered a pizza and instead of eating the chicken salad, and that was the coach flew off the handle, or somebody fired him because they had
how dare you order that pepperoni pizza?
There's no chance that a pro athlete eating a pizza instead of a salad, unless they've been told that their requirement is to lose weight, over the course of multiple years of a contract, that they're really getting fired for something like that. So it obviously goes much, much deeper. All right, let's wrap it up, you guys, with our NBA championship predictions. It sounds like there's some big ball games coming up. Who you got, John, and how much money are you putting on it?
I will not put any on the NBA. In fact, I only really bet on the NFL and March Madness. So none there. Definitely not the USFL. But I will watch some of the game 7s, and I'll watch most of the NBA finals when they get there. Now the playoffs just kind of started. I'll say this, man, I'm excited about the playoffs. I'm excited about some of the teams. I don't really like the NBA right now, but there are some teams I like and some players I like. And I'm only going to talk about teams that I've known in my lifetime. I know there's some great teams, from the 60s, 70s, 80s. I want to talk about some of the teams that I've seen that are some of the best ever. The 90s Bulls, the early 90s, late 80s Pistons. You got the Pistons in 04, 05. I'm talking about team basketball, some of the best teams. The Pistons in like 05, 06, when they won the championship with great teamwork and rebounding and great defense when everyone else was just trying to score. Amazing stuff. You look at the Lakers, some of those Celtics teams, the Warriors recently. This Phoenix Suns team might be better than all of them. This might be this Phoenix Suns team might be the best team I've seen in my life as far as a team effort. They are dominating everyone. They've dominated everyone in the West all year long. And I think they're going to coast to the championship. I think the Bucks are going to like just destroy the East, and you're going to have a rematch of last year. And I got the Suns in 5 over the Bucks in the NBA championship this year. And that two good teams who play team ball, who play defense, that series will be worth watching. And I don't say that often about the NBA.
I've got Phoenix. I agree with John. They are, they had the best season in club history, and franchise history this year. I think they're hungry after last year. I'm excited as a Phoenician to have the Suns playing so well. I got Suns in 7. Though.
Over?
What?
Who do you have them playing?
Bucks.
The Bucks?
It's going to be a rematch. Yeah, it'll be Suns Bucks, but in 7, it'll come down to game 7, and the Suns will take it in a reverse of last year. I think it'll be an epic moment. It'll be a great moment for Devin Booker. I got Suns in 7
and
over Milwaukee.
And people are saying like, oh, you know, that happened last year. It's basically the same teams. It kind of is, but Booker is super young, and he is better now than he was last year.
He's good. They play good team basketball. That's what I'm saying. I would love Suns in 5. That would be great. But
yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited for it. Remember these words, chat. I see some of you disagreeing. Remember these words. Clip me, and you can go ahead and tag Old Takes Exposed later if we're wrong.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, this has been yet another successful episode of Pardon the Intercession, and I can tell that because I was here the whole time and I was watching, and I give it an 8.9, I think.
Good. That's a good. I'd take an 8.9.
Yeah. Well, I mean, out of 50, we're improving, but you know, so
I think tonight was a great show. One of our better part of the intercessions. Almost, I would say, like kind of how Phoenix 3-0'd the Golden State Warriors in the regular season this year in basketball. I feel like that's how we did on the show tonight.
Are you talking directly to Mark in chat at this point?
Nope.
Okay, just checking. Great. Got it. All right, guys. Well, this was super fun. Thanks a lot. Chat, as always, we appreciate you. I know there was some subs and stuff going on when we started up the stream, and the notifications are off because it's a show. But again, we appreciate you guys as always. Coming up on Tuesday, we have a live Around the Halo from University of St. Thomas, or at least as live as we can get in that particular circumstance. But we're going to be using their studio and setting up some extra stuff, and we are all very much looking forward to that. So if you can join us next week, that would be excellent. Anything else, John?
I will be exclusively pandering to McClure's interests on next week's Around the Halo in a shameless bid to score the most points ever.
To win, to score the most points ever. Got it?
I love that.
Doubling points for everyone involved. All right, you guys, great. Well, we're going to hang out and play some customs, I think, is next on the itinerary here in a few minutes. But we're going to wrap it up here, and thanks to everybody. Super fun.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, good stuff, Joel. Appreciate you as always, John. Excellent work. I did okay.